Otherwise, we'll kind of drown in all these new findings.
I'm not sure what will go down, but I think that the movie is talking about what's happening right now. You know, anything that comes out of in that kind of space is always talking about what's going on at the time that it's released.
What was the performance capture work like for both of you?
Yeah, it was hardest part.
Yeah.
Because there was
nothing
on set.
It was just a white box.
Yes.
With tape, poles, screaming assistant directors, and cameras, okay?
Yes.
So we had to use our imagination.
Well, I'd done it before in video game stuff, so I was familiar with it, and it's an unusual kind of world, but in a lot of ways it's sort of like a return to the roots and absolute basics of sort of being an actor. It's kind of like being at high school or something like that with, you know, rostrum blocks and whatnot. But it does require, you know, little leaps of faith and whatnot. But, you know, you've got Spielberg there and, you know, and so you're in pretty safe hands.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a good, like, you know, like if you got someone at the back there, oh, there, yeah, you know, like... Right.
On the first day, the very first day, working with Stephen and working with Mark Rylance, I was desperately trying to impress, and so I was trying to give this very small, very nuanced performance. And Stephen came up to me and said, you know, you need to be a little bit bigger. It needs to push. You need to push your performance out more, as if you're performing in a theatre. So the people at ILM will be able to pick up your performance and be able to transfer that onto your avatar. So that was something that we kept in mind a lot of the time.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't quite sure what to expect, and when I approach something I've never done before, I try not to have any preconceived ideas about it. And so I was a complete open palette, and which I think allowed us to learn and really like adapt to the environments. But, you know, that tool that, you know, I guess what was surprising about it was that I found it to be so freeing. And a lot of times in movies, when you're shooting live action, you can be restricted by whether it's your wardrobe or your props or, you know, there were different restrictions in the making of this film as far as motion capture. And a lot of those where you had to come to work and you had to be ready to go back to the place you were at when you were 6 years old and you're at your most imaginative place and mindset. And I felt like that was a very liberating return for me.
What did your family and friends say when you told them, you know, you found out you were cast and then I guess shared it with them?
Yeah, for me, my mom, she was like, no, Win, don't kidding me like that.
You gotta be screwing me.
Yeah.
Shut up, get out of here.
Yeah, but they were so happy. They were so surprised. I was so surprised too, but especially my dad was like, he was like, oh, you're in a Steven Spielberg movie? Like, you know, I'm staying in Japan, but I'm Burmese. I'm from Myanmar, so I'm the only one Burmese in a Steven Spielberg film.
Yeah.
So they're so happy.
And I'm the only kid from Rockville, Maryland, who's been in a Steven Spielberg film. Like,
Exactly.
come on, you're gonna be that.
Well, I mean, I think he's the reason why I really wanted to do it, because I didn't know much about the movie. It was all very top secret. Even when I auditioned, I didn't read a full script. I didn't read the book. All I had were these very cryptic sides, and I knew that Steven Spielberg would be directing. So I was like, I trust him. So whatever he's doing, I assume was gonna be good. I feel like Steven's always been a part of my life, and I think because when you give someone your art, you're sort of giving them a piece of yourself. So I think we've all gotten a piece of Stephen, a lot of pieces of Stephen, just because his work is so personal and heartfelt. So when I got to work with him, I could feel all those feelings that I felt watching his movies growing up, because he's so kind and generous and such a sweet man that you get why his movies are so beloved and have really left such a huge impact on people as well as the industry. So he's so great, and I expected nothing but good things, and I got that and a whole lot more.
He's a very rare person, Stephen. He's a person with a gift, and he's not. Many people with gifts, like beautiful flowers, get die quickly, or they get frost hits them, or something happens that is a big obstacle, and he's survived all those obstacles, and also pretty remarkable. A lot of filmmakers have 2 or 3 or 4 films in them, and then actually they've really done their thing. They've said they've made their masterpieces, but Stephen keeps recreating himself, and I think it's because he's really primarily interested in young people. He's very respectful of the ancestors in his craft, of Billy Wilder and people like that. He really knows Kurosawa, and he's just been very lucky. He just absolutely adores the thing that he's then been able to go on and do. So he's like, I imagine Michael Jordan as a basketball player must have just really adored bouncing a ball. And then he didn't get injured, and he grew up tall enough, not quite tall enough, and he was smart enough to think, when I jump into the sky, I'm not going to defend myself like this, I'm going to go like that. Even though people are going to hit me in the ribs, I'm just going to fly. Some people are just lucky and are given the tools they need to climb the mountain that is offered to them, and so there's a certain excitement around being around people that are that lucky.
I think you have to make up the rules on a project-to-project basis. There can't be one rule that fits all projects. It doesn't work that way. Each project requires a different discipline. For me, from my background, whatever buttons it pressed to get me to identify with the story that allowed me to say, yes, I'll direct this one. So the rules are different each time. But if there's only one, I guess you could, unifying field theory in the world of rules, it's that you've got to give the audience characters that are that have something about them that's like everybody that comes to see the movie. Mm-hmm. You've got to give the audiences people, characters you can identify with, they can identify with. That's very, very important. Mm-hmm. So the characters, what first got me interested in making this movie was, of course, the big opportunity to make a huge, epic, adventure film, which I hadn't done since Jurassic Park or Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's been a long time since I made a film like this. But the main thing was the characters. Creating this team, this high five, these 5 characters who, based on their core friendships, are able to use the strengths of each other to be able to try to win the Easter egg away from the bad guys, at IOI. And so that's the one rule, I guess, that does apply. You've got to give the audiences somebody to attach their hearts to.
There's a level of intimacy in the film that you don't normally get in a big movie like this. But Stephen's so great at capturing friendships and bonds between people that I think that really comes through here. And what you really get is a movie about friendship and being a team and bonding. And I think that's really unique, because you also get a bunch of bells and whistles too.